We've got a motto in the Velshi Band Book Club, reading as resistance, which means when you open a well-worn copy of The Handmaid's Tale or you pick up Brown Girl Dreaming, you're preserving the ideologies and the concepts that are integral to a free society. By reading and by understanding these books, you can resist injustice, oppression. You can help maintain democracy. But we need mobilization off the page, too. And one of the groups safeguarding the freedom to read and tracking other censorship is the National Coalition Against Censorship, a nonpartisan alliance of more than 50 organizations dedicated to protecting free speech in almost any context, not just fighting books. And the group has been doing this work for decades. Even if members of the Velshi Band Book Club don't recognize the NCAC name, they know its work. I frequently reference letters written by the NCAC in support of works of literature facing calls for ban. The NCAC has a new initiative called Kids Right to Read Network, which fights book bans at the local level by providing legal support and resources to authors, libraries, or public schools. Coupled with the NCAC's 50 years of fighting censorship, the Kids Right to Read Network has underscored what many Americans and voters aren't seeing: the true nature of this fight against censorship and for the fight for the freedom to read. One positive is that the courts largely agree with the NCAC and the Velshi Band Book Club. On Thursday, the notoriously conservative Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals struck down one Texas county's decision to remove several books from its schools and ordered 8 of the 17 books to be reinstated in libraries. The court called the ban a violation of the First Amendment, which it is. The Court of Public Opinion disagrees with restricting access to books, too. A survey conducted on behalf of the American Library Association amid the onslaught of book bans in March of 2022 found that 71% of those surveyed oppose efforts to have books removed from their local public libraries. And yet, book banning has not slowed down or even plateaued. It's increased in the nearly 3 years since we've started the Velshi Band Book Club. According to PEN America, more than 4,300 titles were banned from schools across the country in just the last half of the school year, 2023. The NCAC's grassroots movement to preserve the right to read and the right to learn has made something abundantly clear. Book banning is a powerful weapon in the arsenal to degrade democracy. And as I stand here today, 3 years into the Velshi Band Book Club, I fear that it might be working. Joining me now is Lee Rowland, Executive Director of the National Coalition Against Censorship. Lee, thank you for being here, and thank you for the work that you do. The National Coalition Against Censorship is celebrating its 50th anniversary this year. It was formed in response to a Supreme Court case that limited protections over, quote, obscene speech. We're seeing a lot of the exact same arguments occurring today. Many of the book bans, books are only banned for the same 4 or 5 reasons that they've been banned for 500 years.
Right.
Where are we in this fight?
Well, it has metastasized, but it's fundamentally a similar fight that we've been seeing playing out for these 50 years. I find it remarkable as I sit here, have the privilege of leading an institution that's been around for 50 years. It's our birthday. That it was formed in part in resistance to the Supreme Court opening up the doorway for obscenity prosecutions. And we're, groups of literary, advocates and civil libertarians and unions and people of faith. Why would you organize?
It is actually across ideological lines.
Absolutely, completely nonpartisan. Yeah. We support free speech, free inquiry, and thought, regardless of what thoughts you have in your head. This is a human rights framework and our right to actually, as you note, grapple with ideas in service of learning and democracy. But the groups that organized in response to the Supreme Court opinion on obscenity saw that when you take one of the areas like obscenity, that is where what that is unprotected speech legally. It's an area where the First Amendment doesn't protect. When you start to lower that bar, you can see really bad faith actors trying to reduce what we can think, what we can say.
Right, which is why you have to think about this as a right. A number of librarians tell me, the book may not be good. You may not like the book. You may not want the book read by your children, but please don't give me, as an employee of the state, the right to make that decision for you.
Absolutely.
The right is about you determining what you consume, you and your family consume.
Absolutely. And that's what's wild, actually, about groups who favor book bans and who have been fighting to remove books from the shelves, often cloaking themselves in the moniker of parental rights.
Yes.
It's the most Orwellian term, right? A parental right is the right to decide for you and your family what your kids can read. They want to ban books to make that decision for you.
Right. So they're literally giving up parental rights to the state.
That's right. It's anti-liberty, right? Yeah. And it is an incursion on your family's right to read things. Yeah. And it mistakes a fundamental premise, which is that reading and education is only in service of giving you things you already agree with.
Right.
It's a baffling conception of what education is.
And Americans get this. That's the thing. Polling shows that Americans get this. So where is this coming from? As you point out, it's always been there in the 50 years since you guys have been around,
right,
and in the 500 years since they first banned the Tyndale Bible because they didn't want people interpreting the Bible themselves.
That's right.
It's that impulse doesn't go away. The impulse to control what people consume does not go away.
It doesn't. And frankly, I think that's why we're lucky in this country to have a First Amendment, right? And we say first and foremost, the government shouldn't be in our heads and dictating what we believe and what we read. But apropos of that decision 50 years ago, there are lots of folks who would like to label a lot of things obscenity and therefore remove it from the First Amendment's protection. And a lot of the folks who have been part of this well-organized, well-funded effort to ban books, not just at the local level, but now via state laws, have warped that. And now we see the term obscenity being applied basically to queerness.
Right. And that's exactly right. I would say the majority of books we cover that are banned right now are queer authors or people talking about sexual assault. And the conflation of obscenity with rape, the conflation of obscenity with same-sex relations, which is, again, it's not something that you don't know. It's the kind of thing that used to happen.
No, still gobsmacking, frankly. But you've asked where is this coming from, and as your intro, eloquently set up, we're winning with the First Amendment. Thank goodness that remains a robust protection against incursions on our freedom to read, and we're winning in the court of public opinion. So where's the problem? And the problem, as I mentioned, is this is part of book banning is part of a well-funded, well-organized national effort to not just ban books, but to limit our freedoms and our access to public institutions,
so it's not what
libraries,
it looks like. Moms
schools,
for Liberty are not actually Moms for Liberty.
Well,
you went to a meeting recently.
I did,
theirs.
And look, I'll give them credit. I'm a free speech advocate. They have every right to their views, and I'll give them credit for letting me into an open meeting. But what's clear is that book banning is just one piece of a broader agenda for them to quote unquote protect the children. That really comes hand in hand with, in my view, pretty vicious anti-trans rhetoric, as well as a full frontal attack on public institutions. And that includes public schools, public libraries, places where our democracy relies on people's access to diverse books, to diverse knowledge, and the freedom to read. And so that's really in their sights. And so what we need as people who fight the censors, and again, this is about principle, not politics for us. This is it should not be a partisan issue, and it's a shame to me that it is.
Yes.
But we need a counterbalance. We need a well-funded, well-organized effort to fight for liberty. Real liberty. That is the freedom for families to access diverse books, for kids to read what they need to be good learners. And we at the National Coalition Against Censorship have started this network, the Right to Read Network, to bring people together, to resource them, to make sure they're up to date on the latest actions, incursions on the freedom to read, and arm them with the tools to stand up for our democracy in their local communities and in November, hopefully, at the ballot box.
I have an hour more questions to you, but I'm just looking at the clock, and unfortunately, I've got 40 seconds left in the show. So thank you. I appreciate this. We will continue this discussion. Thank you for the important work that you are doing. Lee Rowland is the executive director of the National Coalition Against Censorship.